Cowabunga dudes, I'm Bennett, and it's time for a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie ranking. Turtle Power. At number 10, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, or Turtles in Time. Do you really need an explanation why this movie sucks? Once upon a time, if a movie franchise had a trilogy, the third one always sucked, and this was a prime example of why. Jim Henson unfortunately passed away before this movie was created, so the Jim Henson Creature Shop was not able to create the suits for the Turtles, unlike the other previous installments. That's why these designs look so goddamn hideous. Even Splinter, they didn't even finish Splinter. That's why you never see his lower half. He's always stuck behind a train car or sitting in a chair because they never finish his bottom half in time. What? And they brought back Casey Jones, a fan favorite character who was missing in Secret of the Ooze, and he did absolutely nothing. Seriously? And the Turtles, they time traveled to Japan. Now, this has happened before in comics and shows, and they did it great there. Even a video game, it was better there. But this one, no. They took on some of the most blandest Turtles villains I have ever seen. And it's like, what was the point of this? Because, here's the thing though. The Turtles time traveling, that was not the original idea. They were going to introduce the Utroms and maybe go to space, but during the 90s, they just didn't have the budget for that. Even Secret of the Ooze had a completely different storyline that we got, but we'll talk more about that later. And I think they were just desperate for a third film, and they just quickly put something together, and it just didn't come out right. And even so, if you want to stick with the time travel to Japan bit, I could come up with a better story in no time. Like, picture this. The Turtles travel to ancient Japan and they meet Splinter Sensei Hamato Yoshi and his wife Tang Shen. And they have this moral dilemma of, do we tell Splinter's family that Orokosaki the Shredder is planning to assassinate them? Or do they let history play out? On one hand, they saved the life of their master's master, but on the other hand, if they do that, they would have never met Splinter, they probably would have never been mutated. If they did, they would be all alone with no master or martial arts training. So it's a pick your battle situation. And if that was the story, I think that would be more engaging than what we got. At number 9, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014. Michael Bay, fuck you. That's it. Fuck you. You ruined Transformers and you ruined Ninja Turtles. Like, what was he thinking? Like, first he's like, the Ninja Turtles, they're from outer space. No. The mutagen might have come from outer space, but the Turtles, no. They're not an alien species. They are mutants. Then he's like, we're going to make this white dude the Shredder. No. Shredder's Asian. Stop whitewashing Asian characters. Like, oh my god. Like, we're going to make Megan Fox April O'Neil and use her as a sexual object. To be fair, in the 80s cartoon, she was a sexual object. But April, since then, has become so much more than that. Like, she is a hard-working news reporter, working hard to get the truth out. She's more than a sex symbol, okay? And the designs, Jesus fucking Christ, my guy. Here's the thing. A commercial from overseas, like a insurance commercial, they did a CGI turtle perfectly fine. It looks identical to the 80s cartoon. And a fan, he put some CGI together and made a little short film of The Last Ronin, and that looks better. If a budget for a commercial and a fan-made film looks better than a big blockbuster film, you're the problem, okay? You screwed up, admit it. Oh my god. The Turtles didn't even show up till what? Till the 2/3 of the film. So the movie's pretty much following April a good chunk of the time. And they're monstrous. Like, what's the point of being a ninja if you make the ground shake with every step? I don't understand. And they learned martial arts from a book. Like, what were they thinking? Ugh. And anytime a turtle story removes Hamato Yoshi and Orokosaki and takes away that connection, it just hurts right here, man. You're taking away something very important to the origin, and you're like, fuck it. Like, no, you don't understand how important these characters are. These are the roots of the story, the main focus of the story. These two families battling. Why do people keep forgetting that? Ugh. Now, I will say this. I do enjoy it way better than Turtles 3. Like, the elevator scene, that was good. I like that. The riding down a snowy mountain, that was good. I like that. Splinter actually fighting? I like that. But there is just too much shit. Just too much shit. And someone watched this and was like, that's a franchise I like. No, I feel so bad for those people who saw this for the first time and fell in love with Ninja Turtles. Like, these aren't the Ninja Turtles. They are nothing like this. There are way better versions out there that you could have been introduced to, but Michael Bay screwed you over. Number 8 isn't any better. It's the sequel to Michael Bay, Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. Now, I have mixed feelings about this. It had stuff that I liked, and then they ruined it. So it's like they took all the complaints that people had about the first film, and they just gave us a big FU to all of us. Like, oh, you want Bebop and Rocksteady? Here you go. They're just gonna make jokes about their dicks. Like, oh, you want fun entertainment? The Turtles van has mechanical nunchucks that we're going to destroy in 5 seconds. Like, oh, you didn't like Shredder being a massive transformer? Now he's just a normal guy. You see his face, but he's useless. Oh, you want to see Krang? You want Krang? Okay, here's Krang, and he's defeated almost immediately. Like, you want Casey Jones? Okay, let's cast Green Arrow and make him a fucking narc. Oh, it's painful, man. I do like it over the 2014 mess, but not by much. It's like, I got what I wanted, but it's like, you still shitted on me, man. Like, it's like, you go into a fast food place, ordering a plain cheeseburger, then you're like, you didn't get it. Like, oh, you want your plain cheeseburger? You want your plain cheeseburger. Here's a plain cheeseburger. And destroyed it. You got what you wanted. Just not the way you expected. It's the genie wish. You know, you got to be very careful with your words. But at number 7, we have 2007 TMNT. Now, this is the first Turtles movie that I saw in theaters. I was growing up on the 2003 series. I watched the 90s movie on loop. So, TMNT was the first Ninja Turtles movie that I saw in the theater. And I enjoyed it for the time, but as I got older, I realized all the flaws in it. Like, a lot of people question if it connected to the 2003 series, because it followed similar stories, it had the same characters, and no, it doesn't add up right. It's kind of like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie and the 3rd season, the actual series. Like, they have a similar story. They just went at it a different way. It's like, and there's some elements of the '90s trilogy as well. So people thought, does it connect here or not? No, it's its own thing. And majority of the time, the Turtles are just moping around, kind of upset that they peaked early, that they're still in retirement, except for Raphael. He's kicking ass still as the Night Watcher. I like that Night Watcher bit. Oh, in the fight scene between Leo and Raph, mwah, I love that. But if that's your first introduction to the Turtles, that fight means nothing. I knew that Leo and Raph had conflict because I grew up watching the trilogy. I saw the 2003 and '80s series. But this is your first introduction to the Turtles. You would be so lost. And what was the deal with those stone warriors and the 13 monsters? 13 monsters? What is it, Scooby-Doo? Like, dude, you have an entire rogues gallery of Ninja Turtle villains. Like, you could have done Krang, several selections of mutants, go to space, battle the Triceratons, time travel for all I care, do a better version of Turtles 3. But no, you had to be original. Okay, at least you're original, not a copy, I suppose. But it just feels out of place. Like, it feels like a sequel to a movie that we're never gonna get. But I do appreciate that they cast actual voice actors to play the Turtles. Nolan North is a great Raphael. James Arnold Taylor, excellent Leonardo. And yeah, so it's enjoyable, but it wouldn't affect a thing if it didn't exist. At number 6, we have Secret of the Ooze. Now, this was a big change from the original film, because the original film was New York City in the 80s. It was nasty. It was disgusting. It was mature. It felt real. Like, nothing was censored. Like, everything was legit. What you saw was what you get. And if you grew up in New York City during the 80s, you could watch this movie and be like, yeah, that's believable, yeah. Like, and to have the sequel to be so comedic like the cartoon, because freaking parents complained that it was too violent, so they made a sequel that didn't even please those parents who complained. So what was the point, you know? And but this movie, it had its own problems. People were expecting Bebop and Rocksteady like the cartoon, but Eastman and Laird, the creators of Turtles, didn't like them, which I don't blame them. I don't really care for them either. So they created Tokka and Razar, which I kind of like, to be honest, but I could be biased because those were the first villain mutants that I saw. Yes, I was familiar with Bebop and Rocksteady, but I saw Tokka and Razar first. So, like, I saw Secret of the Ooze, then I discovered the 80s cartoon. So, and yeah. And they wanted to bring in Baxter Stockman. Which, okay, cool. I would assume he would be Jordan Perry's character instead. And I think they scrapped that and went with Professor Perry. And they were going to reveal him to be an Utrom. But again, budget, 90s, wasn't the time. So they scrapped that too. But if I was in charge of Secret of the Ooze, I don't think I would have done Tokka and Razar either, despite me enjoying them. I probably would have introduced Slash and Leatherhead and continue with the Utrom story regardless of budget, because if hardcore fans saw where we were going, maybe they would give us more money. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being hopeful. I don't know. But Shredder comes back in this one. I didn't really like that. I would preferred if Karai took his place. Like, you killed my father, so I'm coming for you type thing. But yeah, I do enjoy Secret of the Ooze. It is very funny. Kino, he's no Casey, but he's no Danny either. Like, you're alright, you're enjoyable enough. You're not the guy I wanted, but you're better than the guy I really don't like. So we'll keep Kino for now. Here we at the top 5 best Ninja Turtles movies. And what is number 5? I would say personally, Turtles Forever. Now, this was a multiverse movie before there was a multiverse movie. Before people got tired of the concept of multiverse movies. Now, it's like every other day, like Spider-Verse, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Multiverse of Madness, Speed Force, like, everyone's doing multiverses now. But Turtles Forever, it was one of the original multiverse movies that people kind of forgot about. Finale of the 2003 series, and they interacted with the 80s series, like, let's do it! But they kind of screwed up, and they didn't bring back the 80s cast. They got all new actors. Like, dude, they came back for the 2012 crossover. They came back for Shredder's Revenge video game. Did you not give them a call? Were they busy? Like, give me an explanation. But, and they kind of made them dumber. Like, I'm not a big fan of the 80s cartoon, but they weren't this dumb. Like, they took things seriously. Yes, they were comedic, but they also got serious too. Like, those first 5 episodes of the show, those are my personal favorite episodes. And they also interact with the original Mirage Turtles. That was cool. But what takes me down for this movie is that they kind of go back and forth on some things. One, they didn't bring back the 80s cast. That takes down. They bring back Utrom Shredder, even though it took us how many seasons to get him exiled? And all of a sudden Karai is now on his side again? Girl, you were at April and Casey's wedding! And now you're working with your dark daddy again? Why? And she betrayed him again. Shocker! Like, Karai betrayed the Shredder? What? Oh my god. And it was painful watching this serious ass Shredder to deal with his goofball self from the 80s cartoon. Like, oh my god. And this 2003 Shredder was willing to kill, and I was waiting for him to bring the hurt on the 80s Shredder and Krang. But no, it never happened. Oh well. But yeah, Shredder, he is the original Thanos. He was prepared for genocide. He was prepared to destroy an entire multiverse. It's like, oh, just to get rid of his arch nemesis. Like, damn, dude. But yeah, it's a great crossover movie, but it's not the best. I could see where it could have been the best crossover of all time, but after seeing what the 2012 did, I could see how Turtles Forever could have been a lot better. But that's just me. Maybe you're finding this movie for the first time and you're realizing the impact it had on movies of today, where every other movie is a multiverse. But I don't know. These next 2 selections I'm constantly going back and forth on. But for right now, at number 4, it is Mutant Mayhem. Now, just to be clear, I like this movie. I think it was really well made, but some of the changes really got to me. The change of origin, the misuse of characters, like, that's just some things that I just can't overlook. Like, I didn't like the explanation of how they learn martial arts. I don't like the removal of Hamato Yoshi and connection to the Shredder. I really don't like how you have this large cast of characters when very little of them did anything, said anything, and they were played by A-list actors. So, like, what was the point? But this is a very well-made movie, very enjoyable. I'm definitely gonna watch it again. But I just see how the other 3 movies were a little bit better. At number 3, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Netflix movie. Now, I saw the show. I didn't like it. I stand by my former thoughts of thinking it's the Teen Titans Go version of TMNT. It's not as good as the other shows. However, this movie might have changed my mind. And that's why I constantly go back and forth between Rise and Mutant Mayhem. I was excited for Mutant Mayhem, then I got a little disappointed of some of the things they did. I was disappointed with the Rise show. I didn't even want the movie to come out because I had no faith in it. Then I saw it. I was like, okay, you changed my mind. Like, they got serious, man. Like, there's literally a scene where Leo is bleeding. You see blood on his hands. Like, you see death. You see very mind-blowing visuals. We see Raph get stabbed. Like, and a very painful stab, too. I'm like, my God. Like, that's why I keep going back to Rise. Like, man, they went all out on this Netflix show. They knew that the show wasn't as favorable as others, so they really brought the heat for the movie. And I'm really glad they did. But because the movie's connected to the show that's not that good, I mean, just like Mutant Mayhem, they did things that I didn't like, but they also did things that I did like. But but Rise surprised me. They really did. So I have to put it at least in the top 5. But I've seen a lot of videos where they rank these movies. A lot of them leave out the Netflix movie. Like, it didn't come out not that long ago. It came out before Mutant Mayhem. Like, what? At least last year or so? It's like, did people forget? Did they not tune in? And the movie kind of fixed problems that I had with the show. I didn't like how the Turtles mostly focused on magical weapons. In the movie, they didn't use many magical weapons. They used their real weapons. I didn't like how they gave Casey Jones Karai's story, being a female ninja in the Foot Clan who would later betray them to join the Turtles. That's Karai. That is not Casey Jones. That is Karai. But in the Rise movie, they brought in an actual Casey Jones who travels from the future to warn them about the apocalypse. Okay! I like this change. I like... You got my attention. You fixed a problem that I had, and I appreciate that. So I can't put this any lower than the top 5 because they heard the criticism and they fixed things. These next 2 might be a little controversial, but again, my opinion, my list. Leave me alone. Like, it's just my opinion. Don't get triggered in my opinion now. But number 2 is the original Turtles movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990. This is one of the original superhero movies. It was right there with Batman 89 and the 70s Superman movie. It changed Turtles forever. Because before this movie, there was only 2 versions of Turtles. The dark comics and the silly cartoon. The movie brought those 2 elements together. And it works. Like, it's still the best live-action Turtles movie. But we'll talk about my number 1 in a second. It's funny, it's serious, heartfelt. You really feel for these characters, even though some things don't kind of make sense, and it clearly dates itself, but I kind of liked it. I kind of like how it's stuck in the 80s, because they don't make movies like this anymore, man. They don't make it disgusting and dirty. Everything's polished, everything's censored, everything's clean, and that's not real. TMNT kept it real back then. But yeah, it may be the best live action movie, but I don't think it's the best Ninja Turtles movie. So my favorite Ninja Turtles movie is the Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love this movie. I am a Turtles fan, I'm a Batman fan, and I've wanted them to cross over for so long, and they did it in the comics, and they did it in this movie, and I love it. Here's what I don't understand. Whenever people bring this up, they question, why is this crossover even a thing? It doesn't make sense. Are you shitting me right now? Like, do you really not see the connection between Turtles and Batman? Masked vigilantes who live underground in a large city learned martial arts to fight not only ninjas, but mutant creatures and even aliens from outer space. That's not enough of a connection for you? It makes perfect sense. Like, do you not see that? I don't know. People be dumb sometimes, man. Like, in this movie, you knew fans of both franchises got together and was like, we're going to make something special. And they did. They did. Now, the comic story is a little bit different. And I appreciate how simple they kept it in the movie. And the Batman villains get mutated. Oh. Nerd orgasm, right? Like, oh, I wish they made toys of the mutant Batman villains. Oh, that would be so cool. I appreciate the toys that they made. I was not expecting them. But if they went a little bit further, I would have loved that. I'm still waiting on a sequel. It came out in 2019. I still want a sequel. Like, you teased a Joker Shredder. You can't tease a Joker Shredder and not follow through with that. Like, oh my god. Like, I was watching this movie for the first time. I was like, yes, 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 yes. Oh my god. I can't tell you how many times I watched it. I came to Walmart day one of the Blu-ray. I scoured across the movies, couldn't find it. About to walk away. Here they come in a cart and box. Like, oh, and it's serious. It's mature. Yes, it has the Nickelodeon logo on it, but it gets dark. Like, Shredder and Ra's al Ghul, they decapitate a guy. For real. And it does get a little silly when they mutate their ninjas and they become like different animals. Like, there's a ninja T-Rex in this. That's a little silly, but also kind of cool. You can't be a Turtles and a Batman fan and not love this movie. Like, I always see people rank this movie so low. Like, why is it so low? Is it because it's a crossover? That shouldn't be the reason. It should be the reason if you enjoyed it the most. Like, and that's it for me. I enjoyed this movie the most, so it's my #1 favorite Turtles movie. That was my ranking of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. What is your ranking? Do you agree with me? Do you not? Leave me in the comments down below. Be respectful now. We're all individuals with different opinions. No need to get up in arms, because at the end of the day, we are all Turtle fans. So let's just get a slice of pizza and just enjoy being a turtle.